Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dear lecturer, in this happy occasion, I want to present my research proposal entitled of Analysis of the Effect of Deposit on the Deposit Ratio and Non-Performing Loan and Lending at the National Private Foreign Exchange Bank period 2015 to 2018. But before that, allow me to introduce myself first. I am Afifah Raihanah from Prodi Banking and Finance too. So, this is the background why I chose this title as my research. Why, yes. So why I choose the National Private Foreign Exchange Bank is because I see there is an opportunity, a research opportunity, because I already did a little research of the previous research before, and I found that I barely found this object or this bank as the object of this kind of research, and I often found it's government bank, and that is why I chose this bank as my object. And then after I chose my object, I finally found there's a problem. I discussed about lending right here. Lending in bank, it is an activity in bank that when bank lend money to the student with an agreement with any collateral and also with the period of time when the customer have to pay back for the money and also place with the interest. So I have a graphic right here. It's a line graphic and it shows the growth lending of National Private Foreign Exchange Bank on 2015 to 2018, and as we can see right there, the trend is always going positive. It's always increased, but the problem is not there. The problem is on the deposits and loan to deposit ratio, and then performing loan. Those three things will affect the lending of the bank. So I found there's a mismatch or not in line with what's really happened in the field and the theory that I've got. The theory that I've got say that the deposit is increased means that bank have more capability to lend more the money, but it has not happened. In 2018, the deposits growth is being decreased and by 5.9% to 3.5%, while in 2018 the lending is still increased. So there's none in line, and also because of that, there is a tightening liquidity. The tightening loan to deposit ratio happened in 2018 in the amount in the number of 88.3%. So this is again problem. Liquidity for bank is everything. And then non-performing loan. There's also a mismatch between what's really happened and also what's really happened and with the theory of God. The theory of God say that the non-performing loan is high, means the bank have to control more the lending because it's like a sign to bank that okay, this is dangerous. If your non-performing loan is high, you have to look at more in your lending. And yeah, so why I say mismatch, because in 2018 the non-performing loan is higher. The increase is, we can see it's massive and significant, while as we can see in lending, it's still massive too. The increase massive. The both of them are increased at the same time, and it is not a mismatch with the theory that I have. I mean the theory I've got. And also with the background, I have the research depth right here. As you can see, it's from deposit to lending. There are two results of the research say that the deposit is positive, has a positive and significant impact on lending, while the other say that it has a significant impact on lending. It is also happening in loan to deposit ratio and non-performing loans. So because of that, because of I have the opportunity research, I have the problem, and also this research gaps. This is the background why I chose this title as my why I chose this theme as my title in my research. So I come to the problem formulation. This is my problem formulation. Basically, I want to know whether deposits and loan to deposit ratio and non-performing loan affect simultaneously on lending. And I also want to know whether deposits, loan to deposit ratio, and non-performing loan, each of them are partially affects on lending. So I discussed in my research, I discussed about this. I discussed about bank. I also discussed about the kind of banks, many kind of banks, and lending or credit. There are credit elements, kind of credits. There are a lot of credit. There are a lot of credits from the different point of view, and also credits principle. They are 5C and 7P, also credit function. I also discussed about, of course, my independent variable. The first one is deposit. The formula is saving plus current account plus deposit account. So what is the relation between deposit and lending? So basically, bank has the money to lend to this when needed because they have money that they have successfully collected from the customers. They use that money from deposit to lend it to the customers. And also I have loan to deposit ratio. The formula is lending to deposit. And what is the relation between loan to deposit ratio and lending? It is loan to deposit ratio is to measure the liquidity of bank. The liquidity is seen from the lending and deposit. And the lending is much higher than the deposit. It means the bank have the liquidity problem or tightening liquidity. It means that bank have to control more the credit. And also, there's a non-performing loan. The formula is lending problem total per lending total. So, what is actually non-performing loan and what's the relation between the lending? So, non-performing loan is a ratio to measure the quality asset, the asset quality of bank. So, what is the asset itself? Asset is a credit. Is to measure the credits who are in problem. And then if the non-performing loan is high, so there's a sign for a bank that bank have to look at more to their lending. Okay, and this is my hypothesis and also my framework. I already explained about the relation between all of this independent variable to dependent variable, and I have this hypothesis. The first hypothesis is deposit loan to deposit ratio and non-performing loan are suspected to simultaneously affect lending. And point 2, 3, and 4 say that deposit loan to deposit ratio and non-performing loan are suspected to partially affect lending. As we can see right there, there is a line. This hypothesis 1, H2, and H3, also H4. So this is my research methodology. I use a quantitative. My population are all national private foreign exchange bank, and of course I don't use that all for my research. I do progressive sampling, and I got 27 banks out of 44 banks. So this is my data analysis method. The first one is descriptive statistical analysis, and the second one is inferential statistical analysis. Inferential, I use SPSS to run my data. I have the normality test. I use a Kolmogorov Smirnov to test whether the residual variable is distributed normal or not. Also, I have a classic assumption test. They are multicollinearity test. It's to test whether the residual variable have the correlation between all the independent variable, and we can see from the variance and APF. Also, there's autocorrelation test to test whether the residual variable have a correlation between the current period to the previous period. I use run test for that. Also, there is a heteroscedasticity, and I use Glatzer test for that test. And because of my independent variable are three, I have three. That is why I use multiple linear regression analysis, and that's the formula is to test whether there is a correlation between the independent variable to the dependent variable that I have. Also, there's a hypothesis testing. The first one is F-test, is to test whether the independent variable are simultaneously affect on the dependent variable. So there's a t-test, it's a test whether all those independent variable partially affect on dependent variable, and the last one is coefficient of determination. So that's the how much the independent variable affect on dependent variable. So that is all for my presentation. I'm so sorry for my mistake that I've got. The last part for me. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.